You know, we use them every single day, but we barely ever give them a second thought. I'm talking about doors and windows. They aren't just simple holes punched in a wall. They're actually pretty complex engineered systems that control the light, the security, and the entire feel of every space we're in. So today, we're going to break down how they really work and why they matter so much. Okay, so let's kick things off with a fundamental question. What's actually the difference between just having a hole in the wall and having a door? Well, the answer is a lot more than just a slab of wood. It's really all about purpose, components, and function. And we're about to dive into all of it. So technically, a door is defined as an open barrier. Now, I know that sounds like a contradiction, right? But it's actually the perfect description. Think about it. It's a barrier against sound, weather, and unwanted guests. But its whole point is to be opened for access. And every single door system has two main parts. You've got the frame, which is fixed to the wall, and then you have the shutter. That's the part that actually moves, whether it swings or slides.
Okay, so here's our game plan. We'll start by digging into the fundamentals of what makes a door, then we'll check out some common types. After that, we're going to do the exact same thing for windows, and finally, we'll tie it all together to see how these things truly define the spaces we live and work in every day.
So before we jump into all the cool examples, we kind of need a way to think about them. Doors aren't just designed randomly. They actually fall into specific categories based on how they're put together and how they operate.
Right, so pretty much any door you can think of can be classified in one of three ways. First, by how its different parts are arranged. Second, by the method used to build it. And third, by its working operations. How it actually opens and closes. This simple framework helps us make sense of the huge variety of doors out there.
All right, enough of the theory. Let's see how these classifications actually play out in the real world. We're going to look at several common types of doors, and you'll really start to see how form and function come together in each design. First up, we've got a total classic, the framed and paneled door. Its strength really comes from its core structure. You have these vertical pieces called stiles and horizontal pieces called rails that create this really rigid frame. This frame then holds thinner panels, which could be anything from solid wood to plywood or even glass. This design is absolutely timeless because it's both super strong and incredibly versatile. Now, glazed doors, you might also hear them called sash doors, are all about one thing: letting in light. Whether it's a huge glass panel or just a small one, the main goal here is to connect spaces visually and let that daylight pour through. This is so important in public buildings like hospitals or offices, where that feeling of openness can make a space feel way more welcoming and safe. And then you've got the flush door. Its whole identity is that completely smooth, plain surface. No panels, no decorations, nothing. It's a really simple construction, usually with a solid core material sandwiched between two sheets of plywood. This makes them incredibly strong, pretty economical, and a huge favorite for modern minimalist designs. Louvered doors are such a clever trade-off. Those angled slats, the louvers, they let air circulate freely, which is perfect for places like closets or utility rooms where you don't want things to get stuffy. But here's the catch. While they give you great visual privacy, they offer pretty much zero sound insulation. Wire gauge doors also focus on ventilation, but they have a very specific mission: to keep insects out. That fine wire mesh lets the air through, but acts as a barrier to bugs, which is exactly why you so often see them in kitchens, restaurants, and pantries. Anywhere hygiene is a top priority.
The sliding door. Its superpower is its space efficiency. Since it glides along a track instead of swinging out into the room, it takes up zero floor space to operate. This makes it absolutely perfect for closets, tiny rooms, or for creating those huge openings to a patio where a big swinging door would just get in the way.
Now, for the really heavy-duty jobs, when you need maximum security and you have to cover a massive opening, you've got the rolling steel door. It's built from these interlocking steel plates that literally roll up into a compact drum overhead. It's a super strong, ingenious solution for giant openings where a normal hinge door would be physically impossible, making it the standard for storefronts, warehouses, and garages. Okay, we've walked through doors. Now let's shift gears and talk about their essential counterpart, windows. They do so much more than just let us peek outside. They're literally a building's connection to the world around it.
So the official definition says a window is an opening for admitting daylight, providing ventilation, and offering a view. But you know what? Modern windows do even more. They provide critical insulation against heat, cold, and sound. They've really evolved from just a simple hole to a high-performance part of the building itself.
And just like with doors, windows are not a one-size-fits-all deal. They come in a huge variety of styles, each with a different way of opening and a unique look. Let's explore some of the most common ones. This right here is the casement window, and it's probably the most common type you'll see anywhere in the world. Its construction is actually a lot like a door. It's got a frame, and the shutter is hinged on the side. The great thing is, when you open it all the way, you get the maximum possible ventilation, because the entire window area is open to the outside.
Okay, now for a classic piece of engineering, the double-hung window. It has two separate sashes, a top one and a bottom one, and they both slide vertically inside the frame. This makes them super space efficient, and it lasts for fantastic controlled airflow. You can let cool air in at the bottom while pushing warm air out at the top. It's really clever.
So what's the magic trick here? How does it move so smoothly? Well, hidden inside the frame, there are counterweights that are connected to the sashes with a cord and pulley system. These weights perfectly balance the sash's weight, and that's what allows you to lift and lower them with almost no effort. It's just a beautiful, simple mechanical solution. This should look pretty familiar. Just like sliding doors, sliding windows operate on the exact same principle. They're on a track. The shutters move horizontally or vertically, usually on tiny little rollers. And again, the main benefit here is that they don't stick out or in when you open them, making them perfect for spots that overlook a walkway or a deck. Pivoted windows offer a totally different kind of movement. Instead of having hinges on the side, the shutter rotates around a pivot right in the center of the frame. This means it can swing open either horizontally or vertically. Not only does it create a really distinct look, but it can also make it a whole lot easier to clean both sides of the glass from inside the building. Now, some windows can fundamentally change the geometry of a room, and the bay window is a perfect example. Because it projects outward from the main wall, it captures light and air from multiple angles at once. This design also adds real usable space to the inside, like for a window seat, and it creates a really dramatic, beautiful feature on the outside of the building. So we've seen a whole range of doors and windows, each with its own special design and purpose. Let's bring it all together for our final takeaway. At the end of the day, it all boils down to this. Every single door and window represents a huge design decision. It's a constant balancing act between function, things like security, airflow, light, and form, the appearance and the style. These choices, they're not just minor details. They are absolutely fundamental to how a space looks, feels, and ultimately how it works for all of us. So I'll leave you with this final thought. The next time you walk through a door or just look out a window, take an extra second to really notice it. And ask yourself, why this particular design? How is it shaping my experience of this space right now? You might be pretty surprised by what you discover. Thanks for joining me.